It started on an ordinary Sunday afternoon, the kind of day that pretends it's peaceful while quietly hiding a storm. The sun poured through my kitchen window, golden and soft, glinting off the china I'd just set out for tea. My son Daniel and his girlfriend Lily were coming over. I'd baked lemon scones, his favorite since he was 10. I was humming as I set the table. The smell of butter and sugar filled the house, familiar and comforting. But under that warmth, I felt the ache of time. My boy wasn't a boy anymore. I checked the mirror by the fridge, adjusting my hair. Just tea, I told myself. Don't ask too many questions this time. Don't push. But mothers, especially ones like me, never stop pushing. Not out of control, but out of love. Or at least what we think is love. I'd been waiting for months to hear one simple thing. When my son and Lily would finally get married. They arrived just after 2. Daniel looked taller somehow, older. Lily's laughter preceded her into the room like sunlight. Soft, easy, real. She greeted me with a hug that smelled of lilac and wind. "Oh, you baked again," she said, smiling. "Mrs. Turner, you spoil us." I waved her off. "You've been calling me Mrs. Turner for 3 years now, dear. When are you finally going to call me Mom?" Daniel laughed. "You'll scare her off, Mom." I rolled my eyes, feigning exasperation. "I'm just saying, it's been long enough. I'm ready to start planning a wedding." Lily looked at Daniel then, a quick glance. Too quick. I didn't catch it at first. We sat outside under the apricot tree. I poured tea. Daniel told stories about his new job at the architectural firm. Lily talked about her art gallery internship, and for a while, everything felt right. Then, between sips, I asked it. The question that changed everything. "So," I said casually, stirring my tea, "when is the wedding?" Daniel's spoon froze midair. Lily's lips parted slightly, as if to speak, but she hesitated. Then she smiled. It wasn't nervous or apologetic. It was soft. "Sure." "Actually," she said, glancing at Daniel, "we got married yesterday." For a second, I thought I'd misheard. "I'm sorry." "What?" Daniel set down his cup. "Mom," he began, voice gentle but firm, "we got married yesterday, just us. A small ceremony at the courthouse. The sound that left my lips wasn't a cry. Not quite. More like a breath breaking in half. You got married?" "Yes," Lily said, still smiling. "We wanted it simple. Private. Private." I looked at their hands. No rings yet, just the imprint of where one would go. I realized it was true. They were husband and wife, and I hadn't even known. For a while, I said nothing. The wind moved through the apricot leaves, scattering yellow light across the tablecloth. A bee hovered near the sugar bowl. Somewhere down the street, a child was laughing, but all I heard was the echo of Lily's words. "We got married yesterday." I forced a smile, tight, trembling. "Well, congratulations," I said. My throat burned. "That's wonderful news." Daniel reached for my hand. "Mom, please don't be upset." "We didn't mean to what?" I snapped before I could stop myself. "To leave me out?" The silence that followed was thick, heavy. Lily looked away. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Mom," he said quietly, "we just wanted something that was ours." No fuss, no pressure, I swallowed hard. "You could have told me. I know. And I'm sorry. But we didn't want anyone's expectations hanging over it. Anyone's." He meant mine. That stung. I nodded slowly, pretending composure. "I understand," I lied. "You're adults now. You do what feels right." Inside, my heart cracked like thin glass. When they left, the house felt hollow. I stood in the doorway, watching their car disappear down the road. The sunlight that had felt so warm earlier now seemed too bright, almost cruel. I went back to the kitchen, sat at the table, and stared at the untouched scones. The house had never been quieter. That night, I opened the drawer by my bedside and pulled out the wedding scrapbook I'd been working on. Inside were swatches of lace, color palettes, magazine clippings of table settings. A note Daniel wrote me when he was 16. "One day you'll dance at my wedding, Mom. Promise." My tears fell before I could stop them. The next morning, Daniel called. "Mom, can we come by tonight? We want to talk." I wanted to say no. I wanted to protect the part of me that was still raw. But love doesn't work like that, so I said yes. When they arrived, Lily held a bouquet of lilies. Ironic, almost mocking. "These are for you," she said softly. I took them, nodded. "Thank you." Daniel looked tired. "Mom, we know this hurt you." "That wasn't our intention." "I'm fine," I said, forcing a smile. He frowned. "No, you're not." Something in his voice, gentle, adult, startled me. When had my son started speaking like that? Like the one who needed to comfort me? "I just wanted to be part of it," I whispered finally. "To see my son take that step. To know you wanted me there." "You were there," Lily said softly. "In spirit, always." That made me cry. And as I wept, Lily crossed the room and took my hand. "We'll have a celebration, just us three if you want. It's not about the day, it's about us being a family. Family." The word felt fragile, but it held. That night, after they left again, I walked into Daniel's old room. His childhood trophies lined the shelves, dust-covered but proud. On his desk sat a photo of us at the beach. Him with sand in his hair, me laughing, sunburned. I traced the outline of his smile with my thumb. Somewhere along the way, I realized I'd stopped seeing him as the man he'd become and kept seeing only my boy, the one who used to need me. Maybe that was my mistake. The following morning, I woke before dawn. The house was still, the air thick with that quiet sadness that lingers after something changes forever. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee gone cold and stared out at the apricot tree. The same tree that had watched Daniel grow, from a boy chasing fireflies to a man who'd just said "I do" without me there to witness it. The world outside looked the same, but everything inside me had shifted. I remembered the day Daniel first brought Lily home. She'd been nervous, her hands folded neatly in her lap as she complimented my cooking. "You raised him well," she'd said shyly. "He's kind." Back then I thought she was too quiet, too unsure of herself. I told myself she'd grow on me. But deep down, I'd already begun building walls, the kind made of expectations and imagined futures, and now those walls had collapsed. Around mid-morning, my sister Claire called. She lived 2 towns over, the family's voice of reason, and, or as Daniel liked to say, the cool aunt. "So?" she asked before I could say hello. "How did the tea go yesterday?" I hesitated. "They got married." A pause. Then, "You're joking." "I wish I were." Claire whistled softly. "Oh, honey, how are you holding up?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I don't know. Part of me is proud, I guess." He followed his heart. "But part of me feels left behind." "That's what happens when they grow up," she said gently. "They start choosing their own lives." "I just thought I'd be part of that choice," I whispered. Claire sighed. "Do you remember when you and Tom eloped?" Mom cried for a week. Her words hit me square in the chest. Tom, my late husband. We'd done the same thing. Ran off to a courthouse on a rainy Tuesday. Too in love and too impatient to wait for anyone's blessing. I hadn't thought about that in years. "I suppose I did the same thing," I admitted quietly. "History has a funny way of repeating itself," Claire said. "Don't let pride ruin the chance to be part of what comes next." That afternoon, I drove to the park where Daniel used to play as a boy. The swings creaked in the wind, empty. I sat on a bench and let memories fill the silence. The way he used to run to me, scraped knees and wild hair, yelling, "Watch me, Mom." Watch. And I always did. I watched him take his first steps, ride his first bike, leave for college, fall in love. I watched even when he didn't know it, but this time he hadn't needed me watching. Maybe that was the point. As I sat there, a couple walked past hand in hand, their laughter echoing. The girl wore a white sundress. For a moment, I imagined Lily in that dress, sunlight catching her hair, Daniel smiling at her like she was the only person in the world. And I realized something then. I didn't hate her for what she'd done. I envied her, for having the courage to choose love on her own terms. Something I'd lost after Tom died. That evening, I pulled out an old photo album. There we were, Tom and I, at 24, standing outside the courthouse. I wore a cheap blue dress. His tie was crooked. We were grinning like fools. I traced the edge of the photo. "You'd laugh at me now, wouldn't you?" I whispered to his face. In the next picture, my mother's expression was frozen somewhere between heartbreak and disbelief. She'd forgiven me eventually, but I remembered her saying, "You robbed me of my moment." Grace. Every mother dreams of seeing her child marry. I had become her. The realization sank into me like rain into dry earth. Slow, steady, unrelenting. The next weekend, Daniel called again. Mom, we're hosting dinner. Just us and a few friends. Would you come? My first instinct was to refuse. My pride whispered, make him miss you. Make him see what he's done. But love, real love, doesn't play games. So I said yes. When I arrived, Lily greeted me at the door, barefoot, her apron dusted with flour. You came, she said, her face lighting up. Her joy was genuine, and something inside me softened. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, holding a tray of roast vegetables. Hey, Mom, he said, that same boyish grin flickering for a moment. Come in. Their apartment smelled of rosemary and lemon, laughter already buzzing through the air. On the wall hung a framed photo, the two of them at the courthouse steps. Wind in Lily's hair, Daniel's hand cradling her face. For the first time, I saw it not as betrayal, but as something pure. Love. During dinner, their friends chatted about work, art, and travel. I listened more than I spoke, watching the way Daniel's hand found Lily's under the table, how she looked at him when he laughed. When everyone had gone, Lily began clearing plates. Sit, I told her. Let me help, she hesitated. Are you sure? Yes, please. We worked in silence for a few minutes before I said softly, I looked at my old wedding photos today. Lily turned, surprised. You and Daniel's dad? I nodded. We eloped too, her eyes widened. You did? Yes, my mother was furious. I smiled faintly. I suppose I forgot what that felt like, wanting something so much that you didn't need anyone's permission. Lily dried her hands, looking at me with something like relief. We didn't mean to hurt you, we just wanted something that was ours. I know, I said, and this time I meant it. And I'm sorry too, for making you feel like love had to fit inside my expectations. She smiled. Maybe we can start over? Maybe we already have. When I left that night, Daniel walked me to my car. The air was cool, stars bright above us. Thank you for coming, he said. I wouldn't have missed it, I replied. Then after a pause, you look happy, Daniel. Really happy, he nodded. I am. I touched his cheek. That's all I ever wanted. He hugged me then. Not the quick, distracted kind of hug he gave when he was rushing out the door, but the long, quiet kind that says, I see you. I know. When I got home, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. But peace is fragile. A few days later, as I was tidying the living room, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Hi, Mrs. Turner. I'm sorry to bother you, but I thought you should know. Lily used to date someone from Daniel's office. He still talks about her. Just thought you'd want to know? My stomach nodded. I stared at the message, reread it twice. The number wasn't saved, but curiosity burned through me. I shouldn't have cared. They were married now. But the mother in me, the protector, couldn't let it go, so I called Daniel. Everything okay, Mom? He asked. Yes, I lied. I just wanted to hear your voice. But later that night, when I lay in bed, the message kept replaying in my mind. Who would send that? And why to me? The next day, I found myself driving past Daniel's office. I told myself it was coincidence, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Old habits die hard, especially the kind born of love and fear. Through the glass lobby doors, I saw Lily waiting near the entrance talking to a man. Tall, dark-haired, smiling too much. She laughed, touching his arm lightly. Jealousy, not mine, but the kind that belonged to Daniel, stirred in my chest. Then she turned, saw me through the glass, and froze. Her smile faded. I pretended I hadn't noticed and drove off, heart pounding. What was I doing? Hadn't I just promised to let go? That night, Lily came to see me alone. She didn't look angry, just sad. I saw you outside Daniel's office today, she said quietly. I swallowed hard. I was just passing by, were you? I sighed. Someone sent me a message. Said you used to date someone there. I shouldn't have believed it. Lily nodded slowly. It's true. A long time ago before Daniel. But whoever texted you, they're trying to stir trouble. She looked hurt. Not defensive, just wounded that I doubted her. I'm sorry, I said. She reached for my hand. You don't have to be. I know it's hard for you. watching him build a life that doesn't revolve around you anymore. Her honesty stung. But she was right. I don't want to lose him, I whispered. You won't, she said. You'll just have to love him differently now. That night, I dreamt of the apricot tree again. Only this time it wasn't in my garden. It was planted in their yard, standing tall and new. Daniel was there, holding a small shovel. Lily beside him. They were laughing. I stood at a distance, watching. When I tried to walk closer, the ground between us shifted, widening into a quiet stream. I couldn't cross, but I could see them. And somehow, that was enough. Weeks passed after that quiet confrontation, and for the first time in my life, I decided not to call Daniel every day. It wasn't punishment. It was surrender. The kind that comes when you realize love can't be measured by presence alone. Instead, I filled my days with small things I'd forgotten I enjoyed. Morning walks through the park, coffee with my neighbor Ruth, even painting, a hobby I'd buried with my husband's passing. Still, every now and then I'd catch myself checking my phone, waiting for Daniel's name to light up the screen. It came one Thursday evening. Daniel, dinner this weekend? Just us? I stared at the message for a long time, my heart fluttering the way it used to when he was a little boy asking me to play outside. Me, I'd love that. That Saturday, I found myself standing outside their small townhouse, bouquet of white daisies in hand. Lily opened the door, her hair pulled back, eyes bright despite the exhaustion that clung to her face. Grace. Come in, she said. I smiled. You look tired. Gallery work, she laughed softly. We have a new exhibit opening next week. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, apron on, holding a wooden spoon. I'm cooking tonight. You're going to be impressed. The air was warm with the scent of tomato sauce and basil. We ate, laughed, talked. And for the first time since their courthouse wedding, I felt at ease. When dinner ended, Lily went upstairs to take a call, leaving Daniel and me alone with a bottle of wine and the hum of the dishwasher. He poured me another glass and said, I know this has been weird, Mom. I didn't handle it right. I took a slow sip. You were honest eventually. That's what matters. He hesitated, then smiled faintly. Lily told me about that text. The one that upset you. I nodded. It was a mistake. I shouldn't have believed a stranger. I get it, he said. You've always tried to protect me, even when I didn't need it. The room fell quiet. I miss him, I said suddenly, surprising even myself. Dad? Yes, my voice cracked. I thought I'd stopped needing him, but lately, everything reminds me of him. Especially watching you two. Daniel's eyes softened. He'd be proud of you, Mom. And he'd love Lily. I smiled, blinking away tears. He'd probably tell me to stop meddling. Daniel laughed. Yeah, probably. Later, when I got home, I walked out to the garden and stood beneath the apricot tree. The night air was cool, fragrant with rain. I looked up at the branches, heavy with unripe fruit, and whispered, He's in good hands now, Tom. The wind stirred, soft as a sigh, and for a brief, fragile moment, I believed it. A few days later, my phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Daniel. It was Lily. Lily, could you come to the gallery tomorrow? I want to show you something before the opening. Curiosity pulled me there the next morning. The gallery was small but elegant, filled with canvases glowing under soft white lights. Lily met me near the center, smiling nervously. I wasn't sure if you'd come. I said I'd try, I replied. You sounded excited. I wanted you to see this. She led me to a painting near the back wall. It was simple. A woman standing beneath a tree, her face tilted toward the light. The brushstrokes were soft, impressionistic, the colors a blend of gold and green. I stepped closer. The woman's expression, bittersweet, tender, proud, was unmistakable. It's you, Lily said quietly. I turned to her, startled. Me? She nodded. You inspired this. The way you look at Daniel, its love and grief and strength all tangled together. I wanted to paint that. My throat tightened. Lily, I don't know what to say. Say you forgive me, she whispered. For the wedding. For all of it, I smiled through tears. There's nothing left to forgive. We stood there in silence, two women connected by the same man, the same love, the same stubborn hope. That night, I called Daniel. She painted me, I said. Laughing softly, she told me, he replied. She was nervous about showing you. It's beautiful, I said. You married a remarkable woman. I know. His voice was warm, steady, mature, and in that moment I realized that my son didn't need a mother anymore. He needed something rarer, a woman who believed in him, trusted him, and let him live freely. Maybe that's what being a mother becomes eventually. Not holding on, but standing back, watching from the edge of the light. The gallery opening arrived on a Friday night, and the city buzzed with early summer energy. Golden light, slow laughter from passing cafes, and the hum of violins drifting from the corner. I wore my favorite navy dress, the one Tom always said made my eyes look like stormy skies. It had been years since I'd worn lipstick, but that night I did. When I stepped into the gallery, the room shimmered with people, art critics, couples holding champagne glasses, students in black turtlenecks pretending to understand every brushstroke. And there, by her painting, stood Lily. She was radiant, calm, confident, glowing with the quiet power of someone finally seen for who she truly was. Daniel stood beside her, hand at the small of her back, pride written all over his face. When he saw me, he broke into a smile and crossed the room. "You made it." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," I said, hugging him. "You look happy." "I am." He looked over at Lily. "We both are." Lily approached, her eyes bright. "You look beautiful, Grace," I laughed. "I was thinking the same about you." We stood side by side in front of her painting. Mother Light, the title card read. People stopped, murmured, pointed. One woman whispered, "There's something divine in her face." I felt my cheeks warm. Lily leaned close. "That's because you carry it," she said softly. That grace. The kind that survives loss. Later that night, when most guests had left and the gallery lights dimmed, we shared a bottle of wine in the corner. Daniel raised his glass. "To beginnings," Lily smiled. "And forgiveness," I lifted mine. "And to the people who make us better, even when we don't realize they're trying." We clinked glasses, laughter rippling between us like a quiet song. Then Lily's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. "It's my father," she murmured. "I'll be right back." Daniel watched her go, his expression clouding. "What is it?" I asked. He hesitated. He hasn't spoken to her in months. "He didn't come to the wedding," I frowned. "Why?" "Old wounds," Daniel said softly. "Her mom left when she was little." He blamed Lily for it somehow. She told me once she used to sit by the window every birthday, waiting for him to come home. "He never did," I stared after her. "She carries that sadness in her eyes." "She does," he said. "But she hides it well." When Lily returned, her hands trembled slightly. "He's sick," she said. "Hospital in Chicago. They don't know if he'll make it." Daniel immediately stood. "We'll go." I felt a pang, that instinct to protect, to stay, to help, but I caught myself. "No," I said gently. "You should go. Both of you. Family first," she looked at me, eyes wet. "Thank you." The following morning, I stood on my porch as they drove away. Daniel waved through the car window, and Lily smiled weakly beside him. I watched until the car disappeared down the street. Then I went inside, poured myself tea, and sat in the silence. It wasn't loneliness this time. It was peace, the kind that comes when you finally understand that love, real love, doesn't disappear when people do. It stays. It changes shape, but it stays. 3 weeks passed. I heard nothing, until one afternoon a small envelope arrived in the mail. The handwriting was unmistakably Lily's. Inside was a single Polaroid. Lily and Daniel standing beside a hospital bed. An older man between them, frail but smiling. On the back, she'd written, "He asked about you. Said he saw your painting online and called me." We made peace before he closed his eyes. "Thank you for teaching me that forgiveness is a kind of love too." My eyes blurred. Below that, in Daniel's handwriting, "We'll be home soon." With news. When they returned a week later, they brought that familiar kind of exhaustion that only travel and grief can mix. We sat in my kitchen, and I made tea, just like old times. Lily reached into her bag and handed me a folded paper. Before he passed, my father gave us this. He said to read it with you. I opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note. "To the woman my daughter calls Grace, she told me what you said. That love sometimes means stepping back so someone else can grow. I didn't do that for her. You did. Thank you for giving her what I never could. A mother's grace." Tears spilled down my face before I even finished reading. When I looked up, Lily's eyes were full too. Maybe, I whispered, that's what family really means. The people who love you into becoming yourself. That night, long after they'd gone home, I sat in the quiet of my garden again. The apricot tree shimmered beneath the moonlight, its branches heavy with ripening fruit. I picked one, bit into it, and smiled. Sweet, soft, perfect. A memory rose, Daniel at 5 years old, juice dripping down his chin, laughing in the sun. I whispered into the night, "You did well, my boy," and somewhere in the stillness, I felt Tom beside me, not as a ghost, but as a warmth that lingered. Love, I realized, isn't a possession. It's a legacy. It moves from hand to hand, heart to heart, generation to generation, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel left behind. I felt carried forward. It's strange how time softens everything, even the sharpest pain. Months had passed since Lily's father's death, and their lives had quietly found rhythm again. Daniel went back to work at the firm. Lily resumed her art, and I discovered something unexpected in solitude. Peace. My garden thrived that summer. The apricot tree, now heavy with fruit, became a symbol of something I hadn't known I needed. Continuity. The cycle of things. Loss, growth, renewal. I still saw Daniel and Lily often. Dinners, coffee, Sunday calls. But the air between us had changed. It wasn't duty anymore. It was choice. They invited me over one Friday evening. I assumed it was for dinner, maybe to talk about Lily's next exhibit. But when I arrived, I found candles glowing across their backyard and fairy lights strung from the trees. Lily met me at the door wearing a soft cream dress. Daniel wore a navy suit that looked like it had been pressed just for the occasion. "What's all this?" I laughed. "Anniversary?" Lily smiled. "Not exactly." Daniel came forward, took my hand, and led me outside. There, under the lights, stood a small wooden arch draped in white flowers. A few friends gathered quietly around it, glasses in hand. "Daniel," I whispered, my heart quickening. "What's going on?" He grinned. "Mom, we're getting married." I blinked. "You're already married." Lily stepped beside him. "Not like this," she said softly. "Not with you here." My breath caught. They had planned it in secret. A renewal, a reimagining. The wedding they never had. The one that should have happened months ago, but with all the right pieces finally in place. Lily's best friend stood as maid of honor. Daniel's college roommate officiated. And me, I was their only family present. When the ceremony began, the world seemed to hush around us. Daniel's voice trembled as he said his vows. "I married you once in a courthouse. It was fast, messy, and without the people who mattered. But this is the promise I want witnessed. To love you when it's easy and when it's not. To forgive, to keep growing." Lily's eyes glistened as she replied, "I didn't just marry you. I married your past, your fears, and your mother's strength. The woman who taught you how to love. I vow to honor that. Always." Then she turned to me, her voice breaking. "Grace, I know I hurt you once. I'll spend the rest of my life making sure that what Daniel and I build makes you proud." I couldn't hold back my tears. When the officiant finally said, "You may kiss the bride," Daniel leaned in, kissed her softly, and the crowd clapped, laughter spilling into the twilight. The lights shimmered like stars, and for a fleeting moment, I swore I saw Tom standing by the apricot tree, his familiar smile warm and proud. I whispered, "You'd like her, Tom. She's fire and light, just like you were." After the ceremony, music played, and everyone began to dance. I sat at a small table, watching, my heart both full and calm. Lily approached me after a while, barefoot now, her dress flowing like water. "You're not dancing," she said. I smiled. "Someone has to admire the view." She sat beside me. "I used to think love meant never disappointing someone, but you've shown me it's about staying, even when we do." You've grown, I said softly. You've forgiven. Maybe that's what growing really is, I said. Learning to forgive life for not turning out exactly how we pictured it. She reached over, took my hand. You're my family now, Grace. You know that, right? I squeezed her hand. I do. And for the first time since that shocking phone call, we got married yesterday. I felt the circle close, not with regret, but with peace. That night, after everyone had gone, I lingered a little longer under the lights, helping Lily gather dishes and fold the linen tablecloths. Daniel was inside changing the music, humming to himself. I wanted to show you something, Lily said suddenly. She led me to a small wooden easel tucked in the corner of the yard. On it sat a new canvas, still half finished. It was a family portrait. 3 figures stood beneath a tree, a young couple holding hands, and an older woman beside them, one hand resting gently on their shoulders. The brushstrokes were soft but confident, the light golden and forgiving. At the base of the painting, she'd written in delicate script, "The roots that hold us." I traced the words with my fingertips. It's beautiful. Lily smiled. It's our story. When I finally drove home, the roads were quiet. The moon followed me all the way back to my little house, and the garden glowed faintly in its silver light. I stepped out of the car, still in my dress, still wearing the smile that refused to fade. Inside, on the mantel, was an old photo. Tom holding Daniel as a baby, both of them laughing. I placed one of the wedding flowers beside it, then whispered, "He's happy, Tom. He's really happy." And somewhere deep inside me, something let go. Not of love, but of the ache that used to come with it. The next morning, I woke to birdsong and sunlight spilling across my bed. For a moment, I just lay there, feeling the weight of years lift off me. There was no bitterness, no longing, only gratitude. I brewed coffee, took it outside, and sat beneath the apricot tree. The branches above were alive with light, leaves whispering softly in the wind. I thought about all the things I had feared, losing, my son, my family, my place in his heart, and realized I hadn't lost anything at all. I'd simply been transformed by it. That's what love does when it matures. It changes from holding tight to letting go, from protection to blessing, and in that letting go, I found myself again. A month later, Lily's new painting, "The Roots That Hold Us," was displayed at her gallery. She invited me to the opening, and this time I wasn't just a guest. When the crowd gathered, she took the microphone and said, "Every artist has a muse. Mine didn't come from fame or fortune. She came from Grace, the woman who taught me that love is not ownership, it's presence." The audience turned toward me and applauded softly. I felt my cheeks warm, tears gathering again. But they were the good kind. The kind that come when you know you've been part of something that will outlive you. After the show, as people drifted away, Daniel wrapped an arm around my shoulder and said, "You okay, Mom?" I smiled. "More than okay," he grinned. "We were thinking, maybe next summer we'll do a small ceremony for the baby." I froze. "Baby?" Lily laughed. "You weren't supposed to find out tonight, but yes, you're going to be a grandmother." I gasped, covering my mouth with my hands. "Oh, my heart." Daniel hugged me tightly. "Surprise." I laughed through tears. "You two are determined to keep shocking me, aren't you?" Lily grinned. "We prefer to call it keeping life interesting." That night, I returned home with laughter echoing in my ears. The house felt different now. Not empty, not silent, just peaceful. I poured myself a glass of wine, opened my journal, and began to write. Once, I thought love ended when people left. But now I know it doesn't end. It evolves. It grows roots where loss once lived, and those roots bloom again in unexpected places. I paused, smiled, and added one final line. And sometimes, love returns. Not as the child you raised, but as the child your child will raise. I closed the journal and looked toward the window. The moonlight touched the apricot tree, and I whispered, "Thank you, life, for teaching me how to stay open." Epilogue. 1 year later. The day Lily gave birth, the world felt impossibly bright. Daniel called me from the hospital, voice trembling. "Mom, she's here. Little Grace." I laughed and cried all at once. "You didn't." "We did," he said. Lily insisted. When I held that tiny baby for the first time, her hand wrapped around my finger like a promise. A promise that the story wasn't ending. It was beginning again. I looked at Daniel and Lily, both exhausted and glowing, and whispered, "You have no idea how proud I am." And in that quiet hospital room, surrounded by new life, I finally understood what every chapter of pain had been leading to. Not loss, not loneliness, but legacy. Final line. Love, when given freely, doesn't fade. It echoes through generations, whispering the same truth again and again. Grace always returns home.